Well, good afternoon and welcome to a sunny Rex Jackson Oval, the iconic Rex Jackson Oval. Mitch Jennings bringing you the action this afternoon for Bar TV Sports. Very happy to be here. Thought I might go through an entire season without coming up to Rex Jackson Oval, but it is the final round of the competition and a milestone game for the Tigers club. Long-time captain, premiership winning skipper Steve McCallum. He'll bow out this afternoon following this game, his 200th appearance for the Tigers. They call him Tower, and he certainly is a towering figure here at Rex Jackson Oval. As Johnny Pett joins me, as we touched on there, Johnny, it's a milestone game. And as we see between these two sides, Thirroul and Helensburgh, ladder position always means very little.
Hey Mitch, and welcome to everyone tuning in on the live stream of this match between the Butchers and the Tigers. And you're right, Mitch, wherever either of these teams are on the competition ladder, the Northern Derby, it always is an absolute cracker of a game. And Tower's 200 game today, there's probably not anyone more recognised than Tower with the Helensburgh boys. He premiership winning captain, as you touched on, through and through Tiger. And I'll tell you what, this morning I was doing my usual, I like to call it research, but my missus calls it creeping on Facebook, and everyone that's got anything to do with Tower turned their profile picture into something that Tower has done with a Helensburgh jumper on. It was good to see, and awesome this local community gets behind this rugby league side. And speaking of Jared Costello pre-game, he's nervous, and he's got a right to be nervous, Mitch, because come up to Helensburgh for any match, you know you're in for a tussle, but they want to send Tower out a winner today.
Absolutely they do. I've spoken to a few people in the Helensburgh club this week saying he may well be the best Helensburgh Tiger of them all, which is no small feat. The proud club, obviously some players, the likes of Damien Cook right now, have gone on to some big things, but in terms of the week in, week out, year in, year out for the club, plenty of people willing to call him the best Tiger of the lot. And as you touched on, Jared Costello coming up here nervous because there is a fair bit at stake here for the Butchers, of course, collegians today. Also, they're playing against Berkeley, which will be no easy task for the Dogs either. But the top two spot is on the line, and we've seen, in all my years covering the league, I'm yet to see someone progress from the minor through to a premiership. It's just such a difficult thing to do. Butchers been on top for most of this second part of the season. In fact, you have to go all the way back to round two, Johnny, to find a loss for the Butchers. 3 draws through the season, 2 more since that round two loss to Dapto under strength that day. So certainly one of the most consistent sides, if not the most consistent side throughout the regular season. But to let a top 2 spot slip here this afternoon would certainly be a bit of pill.
It'll be a massive blow to the Butchers and what they've put in for season 2018. They've been one of the benchmark sides of this competition. As you said, 3 draws, only 1 loss, and that loss was to Dapto in round 2. So they don't want to give up a top 2 position and a second bite at the cherry come semi-final time, which we're into next week. And how quick has this season gone, Mitch? You know, it feels only a few weeks ago we were standing at Zeems Park calling the pre-game competition, and this year has absolutely flown. It's been full of highlights. As we see, Mitch, the Tigers boys about to take this field. They're revving up their coach, Gavin Lennon, there.
Gavin Lennon getting a bit of a razz as he goes through the tunnel.
I think he was hoping that banner would go up for him then.
That's right, mate. Well, I'll tell you what, it hasn't been on field the year the Tigers would have been looking for, but off the field, not just in the Illawarra League, but one of the best in Country Rugby League. Cole Doran, the stalwart, the stalwart is up tonight for Country Rugby League Volunteer of the Year, as well as is the Helensburgh Club for Community Club of the Year. So tells you a lot about how year in, year out the Helensburgh Club continues to remain in the top flight of the Illawarra League. Really out there, heartbeat of the community. So best of luck tonight, Cole. I'm sure you'll get the nod. As we see now, here it is, Steve McCallum making his way through the tunnel. I think he's going to try to beat the banner here, but he is going through, and he comes straight through Tower. He is, as we say, he's one of the most understated characters you'll ever see, a dry character. I spoke to him on the phone this week. I thought I might have to wake him up at certain times. He's a very laid-back character, so the attention will probably just roll right off his back. But as we've touched on, a huge milestone for the man they call Tower, and no doubt the Tigers will be wanting to get the job done for him this afternoon. I like the way they just left the Butchers out there waiting a little bit as well. So it begins. I'll tell you what, compared to other times we've made the trip up here, Johnny, the pitch is looking in absolutely tip-top condition for the final round of the season. I don't think I've ever seen it look this good.
No, you always look at the Helensburgh ground this time of year. There's not much grass left on it. It's a barren track, really, but we've watched games over the last few weeks, and I covered the Butchers game last week, and it was 10 times worse condition than the Helensburgh pitch. So the Butchers boys, they'll be looking to play a bit of football and a bit of green grass, which will be good. But we're here for Tower. It's his 200 today, Mitch, and the Berg boys. If there's something to get this team up and running, it is Tower's 200.
Indeed it is, as we get underway, and straight away, the ball there, another veteran, Grant Smith there, just letting that kick-off get past him. I think Tower was set for a big carry after all that emotion in the pre-game, and the ball just sails dead, so an early opportunity for the Butchers here. It was Grant Smith over there. Haven't they played some footy together over the years, those two? Obviously, Smitty, the Warrior, racked up his 150th this year. Tell you what, it's been a year of milestones. The like of Mick Murphy, Adapto 150, Jolie Johnson, 100 for Thirroul this year, Wade Stanford at West. Great to see those club stalwarts racking up those milestones. As the dropout sails down, it'll be McCarthy over there fielding this one. In off the wing into 5'8", a handy guy to be able to put into that jumper. Aaron Shop, the teenager, got a double last week. He's 10 metres out. Coming across now to Sirinen, a big inclusion, and Whitty. Whitty still going, Whitty. He's dragged down 8 metres out. Johnson, second man now for Walsh. Second man again for Tatau, but it wasn't quite the pass he was looking for. And they spill it there, the Butchers, so the first chance goes begging. But we did notice that in the pre-game, Johnny. No Jack Payne this afternoon, a big out, but to bring in a guy with the experience and pedigree of Ty McCarthy, certainly a nice ace for Jared Costello to have up his sleeve. Yeah, definitely.
I caught up with Ty before the game. He's calling himself Matt Geyer at the moment. He thinks he can play wing and 5'8", so he's winding back the clock. We know Ty's been one of those veterans for the Thirroul team throughout the last probably 10 or 12 years. He's played nearly every position in that back line, and it's handy for Jared Costello to have someone like that in his side where he can just alternate him in positionally.
As we see Peachy now, speaking of pedigree, Lachlan Peachy, as we see Bremner out from dummy half. Very good out of dummy half, Wayne Bremner. Year in, year out, as McCallum takes it up towards the 40. It's a white 40 here, the no red paint. As this is Coleman now. Quick, play the ball there. And Willis with the kick. It takes a deflection. Bounces into the hands of Thirroul out there. And the ball has ended up in the arms there of Whitty. It's not quite the end of the set Coach Gavin Lennon would have been looking for there from his side. As Perkins now takes it up towards halfway. Johnson, a wide pass there for Walsh. Lackerstein still going there. Just short of the 40. Sirinen now. We talked about Jack Payne being missing. Sirinen, a huge inclusion just to add some of that beef up front this afternoon. McCarthy now on to Dodge. Dodge is 20 metres out. As this breeze really kicks up a notch. Ruskin, second man to Walsh. Some space on the outside. He dummies Walsh. Blindside Johnson. He goes to McCarthy. Flat ball for Tatawa. And he's got into the in-goal. It looks like he's got the ball down there as well. Peachy and Thirroul are both in attendance, but not enough to prevent Callum Tatawa from getting over the line. He comes out hobbling. Looks like he's going to be okay, although it'll be a quick scare through Coach Jared Costello, but some good ball movement there from the Butchers, Johnny.
Yeah, they look good there, Mitch. They had their chance earlier on in the first couple of minutes of the match, but just a wayward pass there. But they got that pass right then, and McCarthy onto Tatawa. And first game back after injury for Callum Tatawa. He injured that right knee against Dapto a few weeks back. So first week back for Callum, and he's crossed the white stripe down the southern end, but hobbling away from that try, Mitch. And he's such a formidable player in that centre position for the Thirroul Butchers. they'll be hoping that it's only just a slight little strain and he can continue on for the rest of the game.
Has been such a huge inclusion coming into the team this year, Callum Thirroul, because we've seen Butchers sides year in, year out. They always compete, they always get in that middle grind, but points on the back of it has been a bit of a challenge at times in recent seasons. But to have the likes of Lee Higgins at the back and also Thirroul over here on this side, it really gives the likes of Jacob Walsh, Jack Payne when he has been out there, and Ty McCarthy this afternoon, it gives them so much strike power outside them. We saw, it looks like a bit of a tactic here. Peachy and Thirroul on this side, they're coming up and in. Walsh. I'll tell you what, that might have looked easy, but in this breeze, that was a tough kick, so well done there from Walsh. But as I was saying, Johnny, coming up and in on this side, Peachy and Thirroul, it looks, and Jake Walsh, he just got in behind them there and found support. I'll tell you what, if that's going to be the tactic through the afternoon, don't be surprised to see Walsh perhaps drop it on the toe as well.
Yeah, definitely, and I think with the absenteeism of Jack Payne, we'll see Jake Walsh play predominantly both sides of the ruck here today, and Ty McCarthy just chime in wherever he can. But what a halves combination we've seen between Walsh and Payne throughout this season, and best wishes to Jack Payne, and hopefully he's back for Jared Costello's men for the semi-finals next week.
So Fletcher will get us underway, as you might get an indication of just how much that swirling breeze is having an impact out there. This one goes high. McCarthy coming forward to field it. Finds Ruskin coming in off the back fence. It's not really hard to see who this breeze is favouring, Johnny. It looks like it's swirling around, making life a nightmare for both sides.
Yeah, it's going around at 6s and 7s. I'm just having a look at the trees to the back, to the north end of the ground, and I'm not sure which way they're going. I know my eyesight's not the best, Mitch, but it's definitely favouring the Thirroul Butchers a little bit by the looks of it, by the kick-offs that we have seen.
It's Perkins now. Looks like he just might have copped a bit of a little hint of a crusher there. Whitty, second man for Walsh, so plenty of expansive play. They're giving the ball some air early on the Butchers. Lackerstein will play it on halfway. Sirinen, he's up towards the 40. Plenty involved in that tackle there. Johnson out of dummy half, and he's just come in behind there. And it's bounced up beautifully for Johnson. He's looking for support. He might not need it. The hit and spin. We'll call him John Travolta, that last spin he put on there. Mutu Stanley came across in cover and looked like he put himself in a decent position, but Joel Johnson just giving us a version of the soft shoe shuffle, and he scores under the post. What a horror bounce that was for Chong Sun there at the back.
Yeah, there was no way that Chong Sung was going to get that ball. It just took a wicked bounce and it favoured straight back to Joel Johnson. And there's not a better number 9 in this competition than that man, Joel Johnson. And as you said, Mitch, there was a bit of Travolta there. Saturday Night Fever, Joel Johnson. I'm sure we'll see those dance moves out, maybe Mad Monday or something like that. But we've seen him here at Rec Jackson Oval today.
Indeed we have. Not too surprised to see him kicking out a dummy half with Jack Payne not there, obviously. It makes Walsh certainly the focal point for the kicking game. So Johnson early on just perhaps letting the Tigers know there's a kicking threat out of dummy half, and a big one there. He's bought himself 4 points, which you imagine will become 6 pretty quickly with Walsh kicking from in front. Copping a bit of grief there from the viewing gallery. It's always a highlight of coming up to Rex Jackson Oval. The banter, it's as good as anybody. As good as you'll see anywhere. And he again made it look easy, but I tell you what, it wasn't easy with that banter either. I reckon you can usually chalk up at least 2 points to the viewing gallery. They managed to pinch at least something off their rivals. They come up here every week.
And the banter gets better as the game gets longer.
Indeed it does. So the Tigers, under the pump early on, have to think if they were going to trouble through this afternoon, would have wanted to get off to a good start. That hasn't happened yet, so a big couple of sets now for the Tigers. That looks like Shop coming infield. Certainly the start the Butchers would have been looking for. It's, as we touched on before, kick-off, an emotional day for the Tigers with the milestone match, but to get in there and get 2 quick 4-pointers just to take that little bit out of the game and just get into their rhythm. And doing just that right there through Whitty. They come short side to Walsh. Lackerstein Steaming onto that one, Lackerstein. The leg drive still going. Good run from Lackerstein. He'll play it on the 40. Smith, or rather Fletcher, coming in and making that tackle. While she's put the kick in behind Thirroul. Thirroul shadowing it. It's going to bounce up for him again. I'll tell you what. We talked about how good the pitch is. It hasn't been kind to the Tigers back three early on, Johnny.
No, definitely not. It looks a good flat surface out there, but the way the ball's bouncing, it looks like Lord's on day 5 out there. There's plenty of turn in the wicket. As we see the Tigers bringing it out of their own area, and Mitch, the Berg, they've just got to hold this ball and complete their sets and really get down Thirroul's area of the field. It's such a big emotional day for the Berg boys. They've really got to just knuckle down for the rest of this game and start playing rugby league.
As we see Coleman there, you've got to love to see a guy who comes out with the Hannibal Lecter on. Taped up well. Classic rugby league. It's what you love to see. So Bremner now making his way up towards halfway. Fletcher. Willis putting that kick down. It is Shop over on that side. Had been playing a bit in the centre, so I was looking for him there, but this is the centre from that side. Perkins, good shot there from Peachy. Perkins feeling the brunt of that one. It was a great shot from the Berg centre, as we see Simpson now. Johnson, short side again, Walsh onto Lackerstein, and good tackle underneath there from Willis. Bit of a size mismatch there, but you wouldn't know it. Dumped on his back. Lackerstein, as Ruskin now takes it over the 40, still going Ruskin. So 30 metres out the Butchers, just to the right of the uprights. Walsh, he shapes the kick and he goes long to Simpson. It was line ball. It was more than that, in fact. I did think it's right in front of our position. I did think that had gone forward, so probably the right call there from referee Taylor Cleveland. He was right on top of that one. But again, willing to chance their arm on the last, Johnny. Yeah,
and again, coming down that right-hand side, Mitch, so it's definitely a ploy that you touched on earlier on. They really want to target this side of the field that Stanley and Peachy, Thirroul and Peachy are on. So I'm not sure why they've gone that way, because Thirroul, he's been such a good player over the years for the Berg, plenty of speed defensively, he's a good winger. And Peachy, from what I've seen this season, he's been one of their go-to men for the Berg.
Could be, of course, Jack Payne's absence at work there, coming towards the right where Walsh usually does patrol. It's the Tigers now just over halfway. They go short side with Smith. Smith, he bumps away from one, and the ball's come out there. They'll say play on. McCallum with it. Hard and straight. 30 metres out, last tackle. They go short side to Smith. He takes it right to the line. The long ball over there for Stanley. Back to Smith. And Smith, he went for the grubber there, and it was a bit of an ankle tack from Shop on the kicking foot. So the set will come to end and change over. And two ventures into the Butchers' half so far, Johnny. And the last tackle options just not quite there early on for the Tigers.
No, it's let them down both times they've been down in Thirroul's territory, Mitch, and if they want to come back and claw back this 12-0 deficit, they're really going to have to take possession of that last tackle, either kick to the wingers and put pressure on the back three, or they're really going to chance their arm and go to the line.
Johnson again, out from dummy half. Pretty intent early on from Johnson, and I'll say held down. No doubt a frustrating one. Coaches and players get very frustrated when the first receiver has the ball already and they say too long. But we've seen Jolie Johnson out of dummy half early. Normally likes to bide his time, Johnny. But early on, really getting out there to challenge the Tigers' big men through the middle. Dodge now. Still going towards the 20. Plays it to Johnson. Walsh at first receiver. He's got Whitty back on the inside. Whitty. Still standing, Whitty. And they don't put him to ground. Johnson. Second man for Walsh. Well read there by Peachy that time. And they come back and say they were inside the 10. We talked about the up and in defence. He got it exactly right there. Peachy shut down that rate on that occasion, but referee Taylor Cleveland says they were just a little bit eager.
He's done that a few times, Peachy, really come out of the line knowing that Walsh is going to go out the back on that play. And I tell you what, watching Jake Walsh this season, and I think he's just too smart. Soon he's going to put that little grubber kick behind the defensive line, and someone like Higgins or Perkins is really going to swoop on that, and there'll be 4 points in it for them.
They will take the 2. Hasn't been averse to taking the 2, Jared Costello, this season when the points are there. Take them, as we see across the Illawarra League, in fact, this season. Pete McLeod at West also jumps at the chance to take the 2 when he can. It's paid dividends. They are the 2 sides on top of the ladder. As we touched on West, they go to the top of the ladder via the bye this week, and they have a handy differential advantage. I think doing my math, they had to win by 50 plus the rule to leapfrog them into first place. But they're 14 to the good at present. My maths may be incorrect, Johnny. You can do it for me.
I think it's closer to 100, but...
Is it? There you go. In the vicinity. I said more than 50.
Let's go with between 50 to 100.
I stand by it. More than 50. 50 plus.
50 plus.
That's usually the sunscreen this Irish boy has to wear. Not today, though, as we see the sun disappearing behind the mountains, and that one's going out. And it has it, so Luke Dodge all around that. It looked like it was going out on the full. Dodge certainly thought as much, but bounces inside the chalk, and Helensburgh with an opportunity to hit back here, Johnny.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity for the Berg. They'll feed the scrum 20 metres out, Mitch, and they'll be looking to complete this set and really get a good kick or hopefully points on the end of this set of 6. They've only had 2 other chances previously down Thirroul's end, so 3 times lucky. Let's hope for all the Berg supporters here today.
So Nisbet, good inclusion for the Tigers this afternoon as well. Thirroul in a dummy half. Typically doesn't pass out of there, Thirroul. Off his right foot. And the offload now. Fletcher. And knocked down there by Perkins it was, who's over on this side now. Probably had to. They'd created some numbers there on the short side. The Tigers. In fact, Perkins has come to this side. So perhaps Tatawa has come to the sideline. He didn't look too badly injured, but Jared Costello just taking no chances so close to the final. So a bit of a reshuffle.
So Tatawa's off, Mitch. Perkins will go to right centre, and Hayden Crosland in his first game back is over on the left wing for Thirroul.
Shot moving one in. Of course, 2 tries in the centres last week. So a handy reshuffle there for Costello. Coleman now steaming onto that one. He's a metre out. And just too long there. Sirinen, the offender. So Fletcher. Green. Flat ball there for McCallum. Tell you what, if McCallum get to go, they'll lift the roof off that bar down this end. Long ball for Peachy. Back on the inside for Chong Sun. Tackled there by Johnson. Flat ball there for Green. Green still going. He's 5 metres out just to the left of the post. Fletcher. Long ball for Smith. Long ball again. Some space on this side to Bremner. Off his right foot and coming out of it second best. It looks like Crosland over there, and smart play as Mutu Stanley will bring it right round under the post, and the hit back comes for the Tigers. It was very, very smart play. I think it might have been McCarthy who's down over there, made the tackle. And Grant Smith, he got into dummy half and saw the numbers on the short side. They were a man down, and he put Stanley over on that side. And I'll tell you what, a bit lazy back on the inside from the Butchers to let him skirt the dead ball on and score under the post. Jared Costello will not be happy with that at all.
No, he'll be fuming down there, Mitch, and a smart play there from the Tigers' number 7, Grant Smith, one of the shiftiest, smartest players in this competition and has been for a number of years. Seen that McCarthy, who was defending on that left-hand side, was down and they were one short on that right-hand side of the field. And Stanley, he just brings it back around, and all the Butchers players, they just watched him bring it around underneath the posts. In a game that means so much to Thirroul of a definite top 2 finish, you think you'd try and chase Stanley down and make it more difficult for Grant Smith to add the extras, but looks like a gift 2 points here for Grant Smith. Not even we could mock him kicking this one over, Mitch.
Oh, fingers crossed on that one. And he does. Good on you, Smithy. He's knocked it over. But I'll tell you what, I won't be too surprised if they go that way. Wayne Bremner out there in the centres, one of the very, very best outside backs we've seen in the Illawarra for a number of seasons. And the young man Shop over there, he's the teenager. He's been very, very good in the top grade this year, but could be a bit of the old bull, young bull over there. Certainly, perhaps, where Gavin Lennon might direct some traffic.
Yeah, well, you got Wayne Bremner, the reigning Paul McGregor medalist, for one of the best outside backs in this competition. And he was so deserving of that trophy at last season's presentation. And you've got the 17-year-old superstar from Thirroul, Aaron Shop, the up-and-coming future star of Thirroul. I know that's a big rap, but what we've seen him come through the juniors in the last few weeks in first grade, I'm going to put a big rap on this kid for the future.
Mate, if you're 17 and playing top grade in this competition, you might have a fair future. Fletcher onto Coleman. He takes it up, a good carry there over the 30-metre line. Willis, Nisbet. Good offload from Nisbet, the hit and spin. Peachy with some space. He brings Thirroul back through the middle. And it seems that try just lifted the Berg spirits here. They've got their tails up. Willis now. Flat ball for Green. Green is 30 metres out, dead in front of the post. They go right to Smith, and he was just looking for his kick. We were just saying before, Johnny, last tackle options have been, well, left a little bit to be desired early on, and I think Smith was looking for the good kick up right there and just had a bit of a bow peep and the ball hits the deck. Yeah,
he's seen Luke Dodge screaming at him, trying to shut down that kick, and it's been a bit like that for the tail end of the sets for Helensburgh. The only time they've really completed down Thirroul's end, they've come up with points. So it's something I'm sure Gav Lennon will get out to his players very shortly. If we can hold this ball and complete our sets, there's plenty of points on offer down in Thirroul's territory.
Here's Johnson there, playing that ball to Whitty. Walsh, Lackerstein back on the inside. Johnson onto Walsh. He puts that kick in behind that we just thought might be coming. Johnny and Thirroul, he juggles that one and he's still going Thirroul, but will be made to surrender in his own in-goal. And we thought that kick might be coming. Johnny, we see it right there, perfectly weighted as well.
Yeah, it was a good kick from Walsh. And Peachy didn't rush out of the line that time. He sort of stayed planted in the defensive line, but it's going to put Peachy and also Thirroul in two minds of next time the Butchers come down this right-hand fringe. Jake Walsh has now put the kick through, so Jake Walsh so shifty.
Geez, Ty McCarthy there, he's put it on the toe and kicked it towards his own try line, so it's way back to the 30. McCarthy, he brings it back to the 40, so a hefty drop out there for the Tigers. And the Butchers now doing a tough out of their own end. Ruskin takes it towards halfway. Plays it dead centre as Luke Dodge now off his left foot. Good carry from Dodge. The one marker you think Johnson will go, he does there, and Whitty coming right onto that one. Sirinen, and that was a flat ball there for Walsh. It wasn't the pass you want to give to a half, and looked like Lackerstein had spilt that, but play on is the call. They go blindside now. Last tackle, Perkins puts that on the toe, and now it's Peachy looking to gather up the scab. Still the last tackle. It doesn't restart. Johnson still wrestling to try to get the ball away, but Willis wraps him up. So a bit of a messy end to that set from the Butchers. They would have wanted more from the pressure they built with the line dropout, but the Tigers' defence seemingly on this side have really lifted in this last couple of minutes to the challenge the Butchers have been issuing.
Yeah, you touched on it. Maybe after that try, they've really lifted. And we spoke about this left-hand side attack for the Helensburgh Tigers, but they just seem in the last 10 minutes they've really clicked on and started playing better rugby league. Do you think the emotion in that Sheds of Towers 200 and the ramp up to this week might have taken its toll in that first 10 minutes, but now they're starting to play rugby leagues? I think the tail end of their sets are going to be critical and crucial. Mitch.
Indeed can happen. Bremner all the way in from his right edge to make that carry, the skipper. Fletcher, Willis, some space here again. Nisbet dummies. Goes off his left foot looking for support, Nisbet. And he flings that out the back. It is the last tackle. Chong Sun will be made to play it again. So the Tigers on the last, not getting to their kick again. You think that'll be the biggest message that Gav Lennon is sending out with his men in the fluoro shirts just to get to that kick.
Yeah, and I like the way they moved the ball then on the left, Mitch, and Nisbet looked good cutting back infield, back off the grain there. But that last pass, flick out the back, the miracle ball, all it needed to do was land in the arms of Chong Sung, and he could have got a kick away, but there was a bit of pressure on Chong Sung there from the Thirroul Butchers, so good desperation defence from the Butchers, but as you said, that last tackle option there, they've really either got to get to their kick or Nisbet then really had to just go to the ground.
Walsh back on the inside and hammered there. That was a shot there. I think it was Fletcher, it was. They love that play back through the middle, but Fletcher was absolutely sweating on Higgins as we see a little flick pass there from Perkins. So a little trick shot play comes to Norton. It's not what the Butchers have built their season on, those sorts of plays. But back on the inside, Higgins must have been on Gav Lennon's tip sheet because he does like to go through there, but Fletcher was all over him. He must owe him money or something.
Something. They've definitely been watching the Bar TV replays of the Thirroul Butchers last few weeks and watching Lee Higgins just cut it up through the middle, but Fletcher was switched on then and absolutely put on one of the shots of the year there. It's been one of their pet plays, the Thirroul Butchers, with Walsh linking up with Higgins.
As we see the blind side here, Chong Sun, the in and away, nice work there from the number one. He almost got away as well. Walsh making the tackle around the legs. Peachy just threw Perkins to the ground there. That's no easy feat, let me tell you. Fletcher, and they'll say play on. Perhaps fortunate not to give away a penalty there. Gav Lennon certainly appealing for it here on the bench. As we see Willis right now. Smith, he dummies. They go blindside again. Willis drops that on the toe. Crosland going back to field. Bremner all over him. So, and there it is. We'll be giving him a bit of a knock for the last tackle options. Willis there. He just goes blindside and just puts that kick in behind. Bremner with a good chase. And now starting to build some pressure of their own, the Tigers.
Yeah, it's good. They've got to their kick on the last. And Corey Willis puts that one on a dime. There's not much of Corey Willis out there, Mitch. He's only knee-high to a grasshopper, but, geez, he's got a big heart on him. He put that shot on Mitch Lackerstein earlier on, as we mentioned, that size difference, but the combination that him and Grant Smith have got for these Helensburgh Tigers, it's a real formidable little halves combination, and with the addition of Ryan Fletcher wearing the number 9, it's a good 9, 7 and 6 that the Berg have possessed in this game.
McCallum off the long run there. Takes it over the 30. As this is Dye now. He'll play it just to the right of the post. McCallum. Cut-out ball from McCallum. We don't see that a whole lot. And Chong Sun with some space. Perkins making the tackle. Last game, you might as well delve into the bag of tricks. Thirroul back infield. As Lackerstein's dumped him there and had to think that was going to be a penalty. And a silly one to give away in your own 10. We know that body of Azan Thirroul can bend in mysterious ways. One of the slipperiest men in the league. He's certainly causing some trouble going back towards the post. Fletcher at dummy half. Willis. Long ball to Smith, and it was just a little bit out in front there of Smith. But some promising ball movement there from the Tigers. coming right and left. We're seeing Chong Sun come into the game there from the back. I tell you what, he's fleet of foot. He can go in and away. Don't want to overwrap him, but it's almost Caleb Ponga-ish, that in and away.
Well, at the start of the season, Gav Lennon had him playing in the halves. And he looked real good with the number 7 on his back, and he got an injury, and then they had the likes of Smith and also Willis playing in that 6 and 7. So Gav Lennon must have a big rap on him if he's got the likes of Wayne Bremner on his side. He's kept Chong Sung at 1. He's got Bremner playing in the 3.
So the Butchers now through Perkins. And they'll say inside the 10, so a relieving one there. I think it was Davis, the offender there, the 17. So Walsh with the touch finder. Lands over here right in front of our commentary position. So Perkins with the inbound pass to Walsh. Sirinen. 3 involved in that tackle. They can't put Sirinen on the deck though. And they'll send him back there. It did look like he was moving sideways. So Sirinen with a do-over at the play the ball. Johnson. Flat ball there for Whitty. In fact, it's not Whitty. It's Ethan George who's come on from the bench there. And his first touch, he spills it. So the Tigers breathe a sigh of relief. Certainly, as you said, Johnny, after that first 5 to 10 minutes, it's been very much an even contest. Berg really fighting their way back into this one. It's exactly what Jared Costello feared coming up here last round.
Yeah, well, the first 10 minutes you would have been thinking, what's Jacko worried about here? The Butchers, they're 14-0 up. Everything's good. Life's good. We've got a top 2 position sewn up. But the Berg, they've really come out in the last probably 15 minutes of this first half here and really started playing rugby league.
Davis playing that one there to Bremner. As you just see McCallum earning his first spell. Arahu coming on as the replacement. Short side now for Smith. Bremner over on that edge, Steamy onto that one. Smith now onto Willis. Nisbet. The spin and the offload from Nisbet. Willis takes on Sirinen to the outside. And the big man manages to make the tackle, but I think there's been a head clash there. Or Willis just copying a knock and going to ground. They've looked very good off the 2-pass long shift. The Tigers, Smith and Willis linking together well. Peachy. Fletcher with the kick. It's a high one. It'll be a testing one for Shop over there. And Mutu Stanley away. He drops that one back to Bremner. And now it's Shop picking up the scraps and going back on the attack. So not a bad kick on that occasion from Fletcher, but it bounces favourably for the Butchers. Johnson dummies there. Looks like Luke Shields just come onto the paddock, the Moose. He'll get his first carry. Was it a lifetime deal he signed with the Butchers this week, Johnny?
I liked how he signed his deal with the Butchers with the North Premiership winning jersey that he had on signing his contract. So the Moose, a couple more years with the Thirroul Butchers. So it was telling me the other night at work, he reckons there'll be a lot of disappointed coaches throughout the Illawarra, knowing that the Moose has re-signed at Thirroul.
As we see Ruskin there, plays it. Walsh, Higgins, the pass over there to Shop, and he spilt that one. So just a bit clunky in attack. There, the Butchers. Bremner comes away with it. And I think they're going to send him back for another play the ball. Again, Bremner. He'll have his second shot at it.
It's now Thirroul not completing their sets, Mitch. So the Berg, they down in Thirroul's territory, they got to their kick.
Oh, there you go. There's the mock. If ever you've seen it, Stanley's just spilt that cold as a spud. And that's a moment he'd like to have over again. Stanley comes in off the wing for a carry to help out his big man and just ends up spilling that one. Fair pedigree over there too, Mutu Stanley. That's a very, very talented family. that he's a product of. Johnson, the long pass to Walsh. Sirinen away from the scrum. Plays it to Johnson. Walsh with Perkins back underneath. He's 5 metres out, Perkins. Slowish play the ball. Johnson, the long ball there for Ruskin. Off the left foot, Ruskin. He's dragged out just short. And they'll say, you can't blame him, can you? The big fella, he's gone off the left foot. That chalk was just inches in front of him. He just couldn't resist. Just reaching out for that extra inch. So Rusco, this is out on the 4 points. So the Tigers coming away with it. Fletcher, good run from Fletcher out of dummy half. He pinches a good 15 metres and they go off the back of it. Bremner, it's where he is dangerous. He gives it back to Fletcher. Smith in at dummy half. Davis off his left foot. Good solid shot there from Shields it was as Willis. Wide there for Nisbet. Flat ball there for Peachy. Straight into the clear. Peachy, he's got support. Just couldn't quite find it there. It was a good offload from Nisbet. Willis off his right foot. Willis, and he's taken the line on. He gets the kick in, and Higgins, he'll make it, or rather Walsh, it looks like that's done the clean-up work. Tell you what, isn't Ash Nisbet causing some trouble on this side with his ability to offload the footy?
Yeah, he's making a great combination with Big Lachlan Peachy out here on this left-hand fringe. They've looked so dangerous every time they've gone down this side of the paddock, and it's something that I'm sure Jared Costello will bring to the attention of his butchers out there for the second half. They just seem so much more destructive in the last 15 minutes, Mitch, than what they have in the first half of this first half.
Higgins in at dummy half, taking it through the middle. Plays it to Johnson. Walsh in behind the line will look for the long kick. They haven't really had to do a lot of that in this half as Chong Sun gathers that one and brings it back. And tell you what, not much of a chase on the kick there from the Butchers either. So no doubt those little 1% areas will be on Jared Costello's list at half-time as we see the Tigers now working their way into the Butchers' half. And an offload there from Thirroul, Nisbet, and Perkins again with the knockdown, and it had to be made too because there was some space. So that second phase the Tigers are generating, causing all sorts of problems here in the late stages of this first half.
Yeah, the Butchers, they just seem to not be able to wrap up that ball. They're making contact in the tackles, but somehow the Berg boys, they just keep getting that arm free and laying the pass on. And we could have seen again that combination of Nisbet and Peachy on this left-hand side, but Perkins just going for that intercept and shutting that ball down.
So Willis will feed the scrum. Bremner, first man off the scrum. He takes it up towards the 40. And a penalty there. McCarthy just lingering a little bit too long in that one. And Bremner, the quick tap and plays on. Met there by Ruskin. Bremner, I think he might have just copped a bit of a high one. Tough as they come, Wayne Bremner. It wouldn't be something trivial that's kept him on the deck. Just looking a little bit groggy there. And he will get looked at a bit more closely, Bremner. Looks like he will be okay to continue. 14-6 the score. Willis, second man for Chong Sun. He's put the little kick over. He's looking for Thirroul. And Azar Thirroul, he just didn't get the bounce. He'd got to the ball first. He just needed to sit up for him. And it just went off like a leg break straight towards the sideline. And the Butchers dodge a bullet there.
I tell you what, if it bounced back into the hands of Thirroul, it would have been a 4-pointer. Because hasn't he got speed to burn, Mitch? He's been one of the quickest for the last few years. He's probably slowed down a bit this season. We've seen him shift into the number 13 jersey for part of this season, but in open space, Thirroul second to none in a foot race.
Can finish as well. But that bounce just cruel. It's been cruel to him at the other end, and now he's not getting the bounce of it at the attacking end either. So the Butchers will bring it away. Walsh feeds the scrum. Tom Simpson, he's out on the wing now. He's moved from the back row to the centres to the wing. Jared Costello dragging further and further away from the action.
At least he got rid of that haircut he had earlier on in the season.
I was about to touch on it, the Trent from Punchy. Shop playing this one. Dodge off his left edge. Coleman, some good line speed there. But Dodge slips the tackle and keeps driving through the defence there. Arahu and Fletcher making that tackle. Shields, dummies, and good first up contact. There it was Coleman again. So the big prop from the Tigers throwing his weight around. Siren, and he was looking for the offload there before he got through the tackle, and he spills it. So the Butchers, their attention to detail just slipping away a bit as we hear the halftime siren. So that will be the first 40 minutes. 14-6 the score to the Butchers. Got off to an absolute flyer, but have to say Helensburgh finished the opening stanza with the momentum. Great half of football. We'll have the second 40 minutes coming up in just a little while. those half-time scores when you get them.
36-0.
Well, welcome back to Rex Jackson Oval. No longer a sunny Rex Jackson Oval. That sun just disappearing behind the mountain. The Butchers back out on the field. They've got a 14-6 lead. But those points came very early on in the opening stanza. Most of the momentum was with Helensburgh heading into half-time. Interesting to see how that plays, because they were starting to get on top. Half-time probably didn't come at a good time for the Tigers, Johnny.
No, it sure didn't, Mitch. And they're heading back south, and they'll have wind in the sail, the Butchers. They will really needed that half-time break there to really regroup and regather and hopefully turn what was an impressive start to the first half, but sort of went a bit downhill towards the end. Helensburgh, they started that first half off, let's just say, terrible for Helensburgh standards, and the longer the first half went, the better the Helensburgh Tigers got, so they'll be looking to carry that momentum into the second half. And I tell you what, just looking down the southern end at that bar at the Rex Jackson Oval, I tell you what, won't the crowd go off if Tower crosses down there underneath the sticks?
She's full up there, literally and figuratively. There's plenty of full people up there, I think. RSA being observed at all times, of course. As Fletcher has the ball on the tee to get us back underway. And that kick, it's a high one. Coming forward to grab it is Walsh on that side. Shields bringing it back. Ruskin, the dummy from Walsh. He's over the 20. Some good early line speed from the Tigers, so they've certainly come out of the break looking to retake that momentum they took into it. Johnson at dummy half. George, he'll take it over the 40. One out stuff early on in this half. Ruskin, the tip on there to Shields. Shields still going. And Walsh now, he puts this one high. It'll be a tester for Thirroul on that side. But he's normally safe as a bank under the high ball, and we saw that there. Makes it look very easy, Thirroul on that side. Now it's Peachy away from dummy half. Very bunched in behind the ball here, the Tigers. Two compressed lines. As Green takes it, he'll be almost dumped on his back, but Johnson lets him go. Bremner now away from dummy half. As you said, Johnny, the reigning Paul McGregor medalist. Flat ball there for Coleman. And Davis has just spilt that one, or was Nisbet actually over on that side? No, it was Davis. So the double correction. And hello to everyone watching at home, everyone at Beaches. That's if you've bothered to turn the commentary up. Why wouldn't you love to have a beer and just relax to the dulcet tones of Johnny Pett, mate? Can't see why anyone would turn that volume down. Hello to all the fireys watching. Wilco, shout out for you, mate. As Higgins takes it towards halfway. Shop taking it over halfway. Again onto Ruskin. George now. George, he's gone straight through, George. Chong Sun making the tackle, but he went straight through, George. So the Tigers defence, they regroup quickly. They go right, Walsh. Flat ball there for Sirinen. Sirinen spinning and looking to get there, and I think he has. So there it is, the opening try of this second stanza goes to Damien Sirinen. But Ethan George, he went straight through there like he had spiders on him.
Yeah, the scorer will put that one down to Damien Sirenen, but what a run there from Ethan George there. Just gone through that line of defence, and it was a good one-on-one tackle there from the fullback, Jordan Chong Sung, but a quick play the ball there from young Ethan George, and then a good short ball there from Jake Walsh onto the chest of Damien Sirenen. Sirenen still had work to do there, swiveled in the tackle, but eventually slammed that ball down onto the turf of Rex Jackson Oval. And if there was a doubt of the Thirroul Butchers falling wayside there in that second half, they've come out in this second half the same way they started the game, Mitch.
Yeah, the Tigers, they did regroup quickly. They got back there and had the line there, but Walsh, he summed it up well, just the short ball. So often we see halves when following a break want to go sideline to sideline, but he just held it up there and went flat. And as you said, Sirenen still had plenty to do, but he manages to carry a few over the line and score the try.
Shows the level head of a number 7 there, Jake Walsh, doesn't it, Mitch? As you touched on there, when you're in broken play, you see a lot of halves. They seem to throw that long ball there, the miracle ball, and really try and count the numbers out wide. But 9 times out of 10, you go to that short runner and they cross, and we just seen it then.
As Walsh moves in, that breeze really kicking up now. Walsh, he's struck that one well. He's kicking better today in the gale than when it's still. So the margin swells, 22-6 is the score.
Not a bad replacement kicker, Jake Walsh, for the Thirroul Butchers today. Their usual goal kicker and sharpshooter, Luke Gallagher.
We'll be lucky to get the gig back, Lukey Gal. I'll tell you what, the way Walsh is kicking today in this gale force breeze.
I tell you what, they gave Ty McCarthy a kick last week at Gibson Park, and he only had the one. They gave Jake Walsh, they threw it back to Jake Walsh and said, mate, you better keep taking these.
We will try to update you on some around the ground scores. Dapto up 36-0 at halftime over Corrimal. We'll try to grab another one from General Manager Chris Bannerman. He's on about his 6th sausage sandwich here. So when he doesn't have his mouth full, he'll give us an update.
And mate,
drinking water though is the disclaimer.
My beloved Northern Suburbs Bulldogs in the Illawarra Shield. They are up at half-time against Wingdang. A victory could nearly see them sneak into 4th place and play semi-final football, Mitch. So hopefully the North boys can get over Wingdang today and sneak into the semi-finals.
As we see, Dodge now takes it over halfway. 20-6, Collies over Berkeley at half-time in the other match. Here's the score. Thanks, Chris. Back to you, Sanger. Johnson at dummy half. Shields. He'll play at 25 metres out directly in front of the post. Walsh back to the middle, back towards the post, trying to catch out Chong Sun at the back, but he's done beautifully, Chong Sun, and he goes on the counter as well. Walsh, he shaped left and went back towards the middle, but geez, he covered some territory there and reeled that one easily in the end.
Yeah, if he didn't take that catch, Lee Higgins was steaming down the middle of the paddock, Mitch, to take that, so it was well read there in the end by Chong Sung. And he's been rewarded with a penalty to his side, and a nice touch finder there from Willis, kicking into the breeze.
Yeah, he heaved that one. Coleman winding up. Coleman, geez, he's thrown his body into everything, Coleman, this afternoon.
Tell you what, it looks like he's thrown his head into the shed pre-game. He's come out with that on, Mitch. Do you reckon it could have been some of the old school Western Suburbs Tommy Radonica slapping around pre-game?
He certainly played well off the back of it, so whatever he's done, I think he'll keep it going as Nisbet over on that side plays it. Arahu. A little bit of a shimmy there from Arahu as he goes up to the 30. Kyle Green just coming back onto the field in place of Tim Davis. Fletcher back on the inside for Willis. He goes to Smith. Some space on this side. He's dropped it on the toe nicely, Smith. And Bremner, he just couldn't quite get the ball to sit up the way he wanted it. And Higgins, I think he's going to take that dead and they'll play the no advantage. But clever play there from Smith. And if that had just sat up, Bremner had the ball with just Higgins to beat.
Yeah, you would have backed Bremner in there to cross just from that short distance out from the try line, but smart thinking there from the Berg number 7, Grant Smith. And it was a fingertips in it for Wayne Bremner to regather that one, and it would have been the ideal hit back and what the Berg needed in this second half.
Perkins off his right foot. Hammered there by Peachy and Nisbet. Who see in that dust cloud there as Simpson away from the play. The ball takes it up towards the 20. Lackerstein on that side. Almost playing on the wing there, Lackerstein. There was no one on the outside of him. The ball's come out there and they'll say it got the help from a Tigers hand there. And that's a relieving penalty. Walsh with the touch finder. Perkins with the tap. Walsh. Flat ball for Sheridan. Good line speed there. Fletcher saw that play coming, got right up off the line and took some metres off big Damien Sheridan there as Shields now edging his way over the 40. McCarthy. Flat ball for Dodge. Dragged down there by Smith and Bremner, the old firm there for the Tigers. McCarthy at first receiver. Dummies to George Fine Shields. Johnson out from dummy half and Green was sweating on him there. Higgins now back towards the post. Can be dangerous from broken play. Last tackle. And there is a penalty on the last. They are the coach killers. And already having that handy buffer, you think they'll keep the pressure on here, the Butchers. They do through Johnson. He goes wide to Walsh. And straight away, the pressure valve released. Perkins spilt that one. And now it's Willis coming away with it. Now he's into the clear, Willis. He's looking on the counter and the flat ball there from Thirroul. In fact, it's Mutu Stanley, I think. Third time it's Chong Sun. Third time is a charm. So Thirroul gets the offload away now to Green. Flat ball for Fletcher. Willis at dummy half. He goes back infield to Coleman. He takes it over the 20. Tails up in this set. Flat ball, Green. Good shot there. The Moose, he was all over Kyle Green there. His eyes lit up as they go to Smith to the line. Jongsun again, the skip to the outside, so he's done very well. And Bremner, he'll cross. He's skirting with the dead ball line. Look at him still going, Bremner. And that's a great try to the Tigers. And, well, Johnny, I did say it was a big rap and liken Jongsun to a little bit of Kalen Ponga in him with that little goose step to the outside. And we saw that there, just skipping to the outside, splitting the defence. And Wayne Bremner, well, we know how good a finisher he is. He might have sent a bit of a scare through Coach Cav Lennon. I see him with a wry grin down there on the bench as he tried to make his way back in field. But certainly helped out Grant Smith with this attempt. And just like that, the game right back on.
Back on here at Rex Jackson Oval, and that man, Jordan Chong-Sung, the number one for the Helensburgh Tigers, just weaving a bit of magic there close to the line and putting over one of the Berg's best in Wayne Bremner. And Chong-Sung, he created a bit of movement down here in that broken play. It was young Corey Willis who really created that, and that runaway there got the ball onto Chong-Sung. And the Berg, they've shifted the ball down 10 metres out from the Butchers' try line, and Chong-Sung just split into the defence, as you said, Kalen Ponga style. And Smith adds the
nails
extras.
that one. So the margin back to 8. The Tigers just not going away here, as we expected they wouldn't.
What about the cool calmness of Wayne Bremner, just flirting with the sideline there? You know, watching that and coaching a lot of football over the years, Mitch, you just, as soon as you see someone getting a try line, just put it down. But he was millimetres there from that dead ball line. And I seen Taylor Cleveland there, the referee, he was looking, he had his eye on Bremner. But Bremner made it a little bit easier.
They might have helped him out, the groundsman, because there's a bit of chalk missing down there and he might have gone there.
Do you reckon that was a play by Cole Doran?
Could have been, yeah, could have been. Volunteer of the year for a reason.
Oh.
Coleman, well, he steamed onto that one, and I think it was Lackerstein. He is a bit of a hitman, as we know. Just levels Coleman there. They'll say shoulder charge. Hard to tell from here. Very hard to tell from our commentary position, but Taylor Cleveland straight away, the arm went up.
Yeah, no comment for me on that one, Mitch. I'll stay out of this one. We seen the highlight reel a few weeks back of that shot that Lackestein put on, and it went.
The arm.
It blew up. It went enormous. So I've seen 2 big hits from Shields earlier on down here, and now Mitch Lackestein. So there's a lot of feeling in this Butchers' defence.
That's Green now taking it up towards halfway. But ultimately a pressure release, putting the Tigers back on the attack. And now it's Chong Sun again. He skips away from McCarthy. God, he's got some good footwork, Chong Sun. So it's the Tigers now. They're up over the 40. Smith, and he just put that pass way out in front of Willis there. Always going to be a tough one there, Smitty. It's I think Corey Willis did the same thing to Smitty in the first half, so maybe it was a little bit of payback.
Square up.
Yeah. In fairness, young Corey Willis, he covers the turf a little bit better than Smitty these days, so you might have expected him to hold on to that one. But again, the pressure release, the Butchers will feed the scrum here, 40 metres out from their own line. Higgins, off his right foot, up towards halfway. Come left now for Lord, it looks like. He's come onto the paddock. Left now for Ruskin. Ruskin's up over the Tigers 40. Plays it from his back. Johnson, McCarthy flat there for Dodge. Smith all over him there. Couple of real warriors coming together there. Walsh, dummies on the inside. Ruskin. Fletcher was anticipating that one too. Ruskin showing some good footwork today, Rusco, the big man. Flat ball, long one there to McCarthy. He drops it on the toe. Bremner going back to field it, and Chong Sun will come away with it again. So he might have liked to get that a little bit further in behind, but I don't think Jared Costello will mind that too much. Johnny making the Tigers work it right out from their own try line.
No, Chong Sun mopped that up well. As we see a penalty awarded to the Helensburgh Tigers.
Makes it 3 sets in a row now. The discipline from the Butchers leaving a little bit to be desired here. They did have the Tigers under the pump working it out from their own end. And as we've seen, Willis, for a little man, he possesses a hell of a boot. He's finding touch with ease despite the breeze here. So now it's the Tigers back on the attack. Smith, flat ball for Coleman. So Coleman looking okay after that shot. Brushes that off and throws himself back into it. Green, he's got support on the outside, and it was big Steve McCallum. And geez, you think you'd want more than that in your 200th game. Might have picked up a knock there too, Tara, limping back into the defensive line. As we see Walsh, he goes blindside. Perkins is away. Chong Sun coming across to look to make the tackle. He's made it too. He's done more than that. He hammers him into touch. Well, that's as good a tackle from a fullback as you'll see.
That was a great shot there by Chong Sun. Daniel Perkins, no slouch down that flank either, and he really covered a lot of ground there, Chong Sun, and summed it up well, showed Perkins a little bit of sideline, and what cover defence there from Jordan Chong Sun, and that's the kind of stuff that really lifts teams, Mitch, and really shows that the Berg, they're not going to lay down in this game. We all know it's their last game of the season. They're going on the drinking tour tomorrow, but they want to finish this one for Tower and really send him off for his 200 in a winning way. And if the rest of the 12 players on the field can really stand up and do what Chong Sun just produced, I tell you what, Mitch, if the Berg can get it down Thirroul's end, we're going to really see the tail end of this second half be real interesting.
So the Tigers away from the scrum. Some more good contacts. So the contact's certainly gone up a notch in this half. Coleman. Straight at Lackestein there. So those two coming together again. And they'll say it was a knock on. It's one of those 50-50s that you see. Lackestein was lying around in the ruck there, but the pressure back on the Tigers now. Scrum feed 20 metres out. Just a chill coming over the ground there too. So Johnson at the back of the scrum finds McCarthy. McCarthy, 20 metres out. Plays it to Johnson. Ruskin's got support, but he'll dummy and take it towards the try line himself. 5 metres out, Ruskin. Johnson from dummy half. He's dangerous from there. Good defensive work there. I think it was his opposite, Fletcher, it was. And now Sirinen from dummy half. He's looking for try number 2. But held up is the call. He'll come out and play it 10 metres out.
How often do you see a front rower go to dummy half close to the line and they never pass, Mitch, do they? They try and burrow over.
It's so close. It's only an inch away. I can get there. Higgins now. Nice outline there from Higgins, but well read by Bremner. Had to come in and he makes the tackle. So last tackle, 5 metres out. McCarthy onto Walsh. Walsh drops it on the toe. It takes a deflection. That would be play on, but they'll say no. Double knock on there is the call. First one from the Butchers, so it'll be a turnover. Good defence on their line there from the Tigers. Yeah, they say every week, Johnny, it's on every tip sheet. Watch Joel Johnson from dummy half, and Fletcher was all over him there.
Yeah, they've done their homework well, the Tigers, and they've really stood up there in that defensive set. They gifted the Butchers an opportunity from an early knock on the previous set they had, but they've held the Butchers out well there, and the Tigers have just got to really march down the paddock here, get to the tail end of their set and get a good kick on it. They just seemed to be what they were doing in that first half, Mitch, not completing their sets correctly. And here's Bremner into open space.
Straight through the middle is Bremner. He'll back himself from here. Gets away from Higgins, still going Bremner. He just needed that extra bit of support. Now it's Fletcher at dummy half. Willis, the long ball there for Peachy. Good tackle around the legs there from Perkins. Fletcher back towards the blind side. He's looking for someone to come underneath. Fletcher gets the offload away to Peachy. Peachy gets away from one. Last tackle, 15 metres out. The long kick there from Willis. It wasn't as deep as he would have liked it to go. And Crosland, he makes light work of that with some lovely soft hands. So, promising start again. The last tackle option just not quite where Coach Gav Lennon would have wanted it to be. Smith getting up off the line as well now. So we just see some of those veterans sensing this game is there for the taking, just rising their efforts a little bit. It's a big contact again. Green and Smith lining up Joel Ruskin there. Plays it to Johnson. Finds a couple of dead ants there at the ruck, and he's dumped on his back. So some good physical defence from the Tigers in this set. Lord, and another good shot there. That was Coleman. So really shortening a couple up in this set, the Tigers. And Walsh heaves this one down towards Chong Sun. And he'll bring it back. Slipped out of the first attempt there, but McCarthy and Shop, well, no, in fact, it's Whitty, drive him back. Thirroul now away. First man off the ruck. He's thrown the offload there. Thirroul, it was certainly a dicey one to throw there, and he might have picked up an injury in doing so, Thirroul. And I think Riley Lord's tripped over him there. Thirroul, I'm not sure what sort of knock he's picked up there, but certainly a pass didn't need to be thrown.
No, definitely not, Mitch, and make it even worse, it was inside their 20 metre from their goal line, Helensburgh. It wasn't a pass that Thirroul really needed to throw. And now Thirroul, ball in hand, 15 metres out from the Helensburgh try line, sniffing more points as we see a bit of a pause in play. And I tell you what, the highlight reel is going to go forever if they're going to put the shots on, Mitch, during the week, because hasn't it been a game where both sides have really come out the line and stamped their authority in defence?
Indeed it has. Ruskin. He's 10 metres out. Lord. He's taking it up towards the black dot. He'll play it directly underneath. And Taylor Cleveland calling time off here. Back on. Flat ball there for Whitty. Whitty still going. Peachy wraps him up there. He'll play at 5 in from touch. Walsh. Ruskin will settle. Ruskin still going. He's looking to do more than settle. Johnson at dummy half. Walsh. Flat ball there and Dodge. Well, he'll just stroll over. Untouched. He summed that up beautifully there, Lodge. They have gone second man and gone out the back most occasions throughout this game there, but Walsh, he just hits Dodge running a perfect line and he'll stroll over. And with the time left on the clock, you would think put this game beyond reach for the Tigers.
Yeah, that might have sealed the win for the Thirroul Butchers, and it was a nice play there from Jake Walsh. 9 times out of 10 he goes out the back to Lee Higgins, but put the defensive line in 2 minds there. If he's hit Dodge flat, and you could have fit a bus through the hole that the Helensburgh defence is left open there, and not a more deserving player out there for the Thirroul Butchers. Luke Dodge, week in, week out, he just puts his body on the line and puts in 100% effort, and he make it even better. He brought it round and put it under the black dot to make it even easier for Jake Walsh to add the extras.
Loves the contact, Luke Dodge. You might have been a bit annoyed that he strolled through untouched there. Usually prefers the bodies coming together. But Walsh will attempt this one from directly in front.
Dodgy scored one last week at Gibson Park. He could have stepped off the left and found open space, but he decided to play bumper cars and just bump off 2 or 3 and then slam it down.
The Nelson from The Simpsons approach. Walsh. And he just hammers that one through the post, so 26-12 the margin. And you said that may just put it beyond reach for the Tigers, but I think, Johnny, it has been a tough game, and that physical nature of this second half, it's something Jared Costello probably won't be too disappointed about. As we say, you don't want to go into the finals on a breezy run in. So coming up here and getting a tough 80 minutes in, it's exactly the sort of preparation you want from what looks like will be a major semi-final appearance, which can put you 80 minutes away from a grand final. As Higgins fields that one. Riley Lord bringing this one back. I'm sure now we might even see a few boys get an early mark if we get down the stretch. Jacko's no doubt sitting down there with no nails left, hoping the boys come through unscathed. He nearly had a heart attack at the Collies game the other week when Jake Walsh, in the final seconds, went down clutching at an ankle. But certainly showing no ill signs of that the past 2 weeks, Jake Walsh. In particular today, it is Walsh with the ball now, goes off his right foot.
In the absence of Jack Payne today, his halves partner, he's really stood up Jake Walsh and taken this game with both hands. You know, he had Ty McCarthy coming in to wear that number 6 today to play outside of him, but Walsh, he's really done the job in the absence of Jack Payne, really stood up and taken control of the attacking display the Butchers have possessed today.
As Thirroul takes it up over his own 30. Peachy. He's up towards the 40. Bremner from dummy half. The flick pass out the back. They won't die wondering now, the Tigers. It's the final stretch of their season, so no point leaving anything in the tank, and that's a knockdown there from Shop. So the Tigers will get another chance with the footy here. Smith feeding the scrum. Willis onto Nisbet. Nisbet gets the pass to Willis, and the long ball there for Thirroul. Thirroul still going. Slower play the ball than they would have liked there. Willis onto O'Toole. He'll play it to Fletcher. Flat ball there. Perhaps even forward, but play on is the call. And big knock there. He's reeling out of that one. I think it was Jared Whitty. Always does show very little regard for his body, Jared Whitty. He threw himself right into that one. He comes off second best there.
Absolutely no respect for his body, Jared Whitty, each week. He just throws his body. Doesn't matter how big they are. He's there week in, week out. And he can put a shot on as well for his size. I think I said it the other week. He's probably one of the players in this competition, just plays above his weight week in, week out. Looks like he's come off second best here. And
I know I've likened him to Alan Tongue in previous calls, that hooker lock type, fit as a fiddle and willing to put his body through absolute hell, and perhaps even a little bit of Victor Radley about him as well. We saw him last night throwing that 92 kilo frame into the Burgess boys. He's probably got about 12 or 13 on Jared Whitty, but the attributes certainly similar as he comes from the paddock.
So they might get the win here, the Butchers, but as you talked about, it's been a hardened game of football, exactly what they've needed to take into this major semi in 2 weeks' time. And I tell you what, they're going to leave Rex Jackson over with a couple of bumps and bruises.
As you said, but also we have to go back, as we said, to round 2 for that loss. They're certainly going to take some consistency and some form into the finals. Hit there from Dodge and might have just spilt that. Atkinson. As we've seen in recent seasons, Johnny, Thirroul, they've usually been coming into this part of the year trying to find that form and trying to produce it in the finals arena. This year, taking that consistency and that form in, they'll have to like their chances of claiming the crown. Yeah,
I think they're partially confident. I think every team in the top 4 this year is partially confident. I don't think you can really say with these top 4, West, Thirroul, Collies and Dapto, that there's no one in that top 4 that can't take this trophy home and really, you know, be the pride of the Illawarra competition for 2018, because either one of the 4 can stand up on Wynn Stadium in a few weeks' time, really hold that trophy high.
Yeah, we were saying prior to the call, I tell you what, if you're West or Thirroul and you go for a major semi-final and you bash the living hell out of each other, if you don't get that pass straight to the grand final, a week later you're playing either Dapto or Collegians coming off a week's rest. So that path is the hard one. And both those sides, Dapto and Collegians, will like their chances of doing it from the minor. We haven't seen that for quite some time, but perhaps the best chance of seeing that happening for quite some time in this league as Walsh kicks back towards the post, testing out Chong Sun. He's got Higgins giving chase, and he's reeled that in, and that's a great try. Just a little trick shot there at the end. Walsh, he's shaped right, and he comes back towards the post. Higgins all over it. That's very much a Dragons play we often see. Benny Hunt kicking it back towards the post for Gareth Widdop.
Yeah, they tried that move earlier on, but wasn't successful. Jordan Chong Sun covered ground well on that occasion to stop that, but this time that combination that's been so lethal in 2018, Walsh and Higgins, has proved another 4 points in it. I was only thinking earlier on that Lee Higgins, he's been a little bit quiet for what he's produced so far in 2018, but he's come up with a 4-pointer here at Rex Jackson Oval.
Been outstanding all year, Lee Higgins. I think he's got to be in the Paul McGregor medal conversation.
Well, one of our viewers at home sent me a text message earlier, Wilco, wondering who is going to be the Paul McGregor medalist for season 2018. And Wayne Bremner, he received that accolade last year. And I tell you what, there's a lot of players that's going to be in that top points range that's going to be eligible for that at the end of season presentation, Mitch.
Yeah, it's a wide open field this year. Normally, I can normally have a top pick by this stage of the year, but this year,
Give me two.
I've just tossed you up, Lee Higgins. I'll tell you what, Jared Boyle, he's now gone overseas, but there's at least 5 or 6 games this year, I think, for Collegians they don't win without him. He's been the difference in plenty, so he'd have to be right up there in my opinion.
Yeah, my picks, I think we're looking at one about to add another 2 points, Jake Walsh. Also Jack Payne, he's been outstanding for Thirroul. And also Lee Higgins. But the Pello boys for Western Suburbs, Mitch, they have been enormous for season 2018. And as you said, Jared Boyle. And I'll tell you what, going in the semi-finals next week, Mitch, no Jared Boyle. Is that the talk?
He won't be there.
So does What happens next week, Mitch? Let's talk finals. The last few minutes here of the game, so I've put you on the spot here. The Collies beat Dapto, or the Dapto beat Collies?
Mate, without Jared Boyle, you're twisting my arm. As we've said, all 4 teams capable of not just winning next week, but winning the competition. But very hard to replace a guy like Jared Boyle in a side and get those combinations clicking. So on that score, I might lean just a little bit towards Dapto, but there'll be a pinch in it.
Thirroul and West the week after.
Oh, here we go. Okay, he's coming. How about you give me a Dapto Collies? Come on, Johnny.
No, I'm going Collies. I'm going Collies to knock Dapto off. I said it a couple of weeks ago to a couple of players, and no disrespect to anyone out there from the Dapto Canaries. I just feel that they've been up for the last few years so high, a couple of older players in their system. It's been a long few years for the Dapto Canaries. I feel they're the first team out this season, Mitch. Collies through. West v Thirroul.
Inside 40 as he's looking for a Chong Sun going across to it. And Tommy Simpson's made a tackle there. They'll say it was a penalty. But sorry, Johnny, go on.
So West v
crystal ball.
No, West v Thirroul. I said at the start of the season that Western Suburbs were the team to beat. But I'm going to go against that. What I've seen from Thirroul this season, I think they're first team through. And I think we're going to see a Western Thirroul grand final.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first. Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Pett, the sage, the fortune teller.
So your fortune telling here, Mitch. Which way are you going? Come on, you played it back onto me.
I'll tell you what makes me lean a little bit towards Thirroul in the major is just the football they've had. We talked about the tough game they've had here this afternoon. West are coming off a bye. They had the wet weather a couple of weeks ago. And if you look at when they did hit some wobbles, West, earlier this year, it was coming off that type of stretch. They lost 2 in a row coming off that. So, again, with nothing, his Chong Sun's gone straight into the clear. He's got support on the outside with Bremner, and Bremner's going to go away. So the 1 and the 3, they combine again. Taylor Cleveland points to the spot. So, as we so typically see from the Helensburgh Tigers, not going away, playing to the siren here. And Grant Smith, he quickly grabs the footy. And he wants a quick kick here. He hasn't given up on the final 2 points at all, Grant Smith.
I'd love to know how many minutes left on the clock. We're not.
We haven't got that. The big shiny scoreboard over there for the Tigers is not switched on. Someone must have left that big long extension cord at home.
Cole's forgot to pay the power bill.
Yeah, I think Cole's busy putting on his tuxedo. So,
how many stubbies in you reckon Coley's right about now?
We'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't hazard a guess as we see Smith going for the quick kick, and that's waved away. So 10 points remains the margin. In the scheme of things, not huge. The 2 tries still is what the Tigers will need. But as I was saying before, Chong Sun and Bremner so rudely interrupted me, I do lean towards Thirroul in the major purely on that basis that they'll have a bit more regular footy going in than West. And with that young side that Pete McLeod has over there, the one time they've looked a little bit vulnerable is in coming off not much footy. So,
and then you've tipped Dapto to beat Collies. So
I've got him to have the edge.
So does Collies beat West, or do West beat Collies in that?
Oh, come on, now we're getting too far into the future, Johnny. We'll wait and see. I don't want to annoy that many coaches all at once. O'Toole. He takes it up towards the 30. Willis. He's off his left. I'll tell you what, if we were at Parish Park with Matty Ray there calling, I'd probably give you a different answer. As we see Bremner now take it up towards halfway.
How good's Brem and Chong Sung been here today on this right-hand edge?
Indeed they have. Chong Sun's been outstanding at the back. He's almost been the best on the ground, even in a side that's still down by 10 points at this stage. And Smith almost broke through there. What a warrior, Grant Smith. Nothing left to prove. The game, no finals next week. And Grant Smith, he grabbed the ball. As soon as Bremner scored that try, he wanted the kick. And here he is, his time is ticking down, still looking for that try. What an absolute warrior. You see why he has been so good for the Tigers over so many seasons. Another former Paul McGregor medalist as well. And just about every season he's played, he's been up there in the voting as well. It's one of those type of players.
Yeah, when he's got the 9 or the 7 on the back, it's not much difference, is there, Mitch? He just puts in that 100%, and he's so dangerous in either position. Is this his swan song here today as well, Mitch? Or as we see Grant Smith go around in 2019?
Well, I haven't been given the tip. If you ask Gavin Lennon, he's got about 5 more seasons left in him. But you wouldn't know. You could say he's playing like it is, but that's every week for Grant Smith. Of course, he racked up 150, as we said earlier in the call, this year for the Tigers. It looks, I think it's Tommy Simpson there who's getting a bit of treatment on the field. This is your worst nightmare as a coach, Jared Costello. Just hoping we don't get any injuries here down the stretch. Simpson there, he looks like he's stretching this one out, so hopefully nothing too serious for Tommy Simpson.
I think he just wanted the camera pointed on him for a couple more
minutes.
minutes.
Maybe he's after an early mark so he can get that jersey off.
What do you reckon? He'll have it off before the sheds?
Maybe even before full time. As we see Sirinen now. Takes it up towards halfway. Shields still going. Sirinen. 30 metres out. Johnson. He's away from dummy half. So Thirroul looking to well and truly put this one to bed. Walsh on the last. They'll chance their arm. And George off his left foot going for the try line. He set his sights on it. And he's got there, Ethan George. It was a good effort there from Corey Willis. He came in and put his body on the line there. The Tigers number 6. But George barges his way across. And extends that margin out to 30. And Walsh will have another kick from in front. As we hear 3 minutes left in this one. So it already was a steep mound. That'll just about, will completely put this one to bed with Walsh to kick from just next to the post. But as we've said, a good hit out for the Butchers going into what will be a week off for them. Ahead of an absolutely sure to be blockbuster major semi against West Devils, who the margin today, they will secure the minor premiership as well. The Devils, and thoroughly deserved, as you said at the very start, they shot out of the guns. They were the team to beat early on, as you said, have certainly been very, very consistent throughout the year, aside from those small little blemishes through the middle part of the season. And you've got to give a huge rap to Pete McLeod. He's come in, he's followed the likes of Jason Riles and Brett Camorley, those big high-profile coaches. But Pete McLeod, he's West through and through, and he's done a fantastic job with that young side, and he'll very much like their chances of getting to the big dance and claiming the prize as well. Yeah,
he sure has, Pete McLeod, and a massive credit to him and his Western Suburbs first-grade team because, as you said, Mitch, big boots to follow for Pete McLeod, but watching West last season, they were a young team that just needed that little bit more experience. They came out in 2018, they won that pre-season comp, which was a great game against Collegians, and they've really stood up throughout the year. They've had a couple of little ups and downs throughout the season, a little bit of inconsistency that you touched on just before, but they are deserving minor premiers in my eyes, and them and Thirroul, them two have been the benchmarks for season 2018. And West, they were the surprise packet earlier on. I thought it might have taken a little bit more than the start of the season for them to really gel and be so dominant, but they came out of the blocks flying this year.
Indeed they have. As that ball's come out, I think it got some help. It did. So they'll help them out of trouble here, the Butchers. Johnson finds touch. I think Jacko wants the siren to go now. He'll happily call time. As Dodge comes onto this one. Shop will have a do over here. Tell you what, Aaron Shop, he's a fair kid for 17, I'll tell you what. Certainly doesn't look or play like a 17-year-old at this level.
Another year at 18s for him next year as well.
Would you have fun? Would you have fun with that? As we see Walsh onto Higgins, some space, and he's right into the clear Higgins, and he's gone for the flick pass, and Tommy Simpson over on that side's gone without it. Ty McCarthy. You could call that some veteran smarts, Ty McCarthy. As the clock's ticking down, he's found his way over to the wing.
I think it's close.
Experience.
It's closer to his car to get home back to the Ryans, I think.
As we see Walsh coming back midfield, Higgins again, dodge off his left foot. Atkinson there making the tackle with McCallum. This is George. He's looking for a second try there, but the pass back on the inside ruled forward there by referee Taylor Cleveland. And we'll just see time clicking down as fact that is the full-time siren. The final margin 32-16. The Thirroul Butchers running out winners. That'll be all she wrote in season 2018 for the Helensburgh Tigers. Made a very good account of themselves. Didn't get the result, but they've certainly set their stalwart Steve McCallum out with a strong performance, playing through the full 80 minutes as they always do. And for the Butchers, they'll set their sights on a major semi-final in 2 weeks' time. What a hell of a regular season it has been. Johnny, it's been a pleasure to call so much of the regular season action with you. Can't wait now for the finals to kick into gear.
Yeah, it's been a good regular season, Mitch. We've had a few laughs, you and me, on this microphone throughout the season. We've seen some fantastic football. Some young players rise to the occasion and really stand themselves as future players of this competition. We see a couple of veterans here. Big Tower bowing out with 200 games, and Helensburgh playing their last game for 2018. But good signs in the future there for the Berg, Mitch. There's a few young players here, and with Gav Lennon at the helm, things are looking good for the Tigers in the future.
Indeed they are. Big thank you to all the players made calling all the action for Bar TV Sports in this season an absolute pleasure. Can't wait for the finals. Please join us there next week, wherever you are in the Illawarra. It's going to be a cracking final series. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.